New Year's tragedy. SUV plows into New Orleans crowd, leaving 10 dead and dozens injured. The joyous celebrations of New Year's Eve turned into a nightmare in New Orleans when a pickup truck rammed into a crowd on Bourbon Street, leaving at least 10 people dead and over 30 injured. The horrific incident, which also involved gunfire and potential explosive devices, has shaken the city to its core, casting a dark shadow. The incident unfolds. Bourbon Street, a hub of nightlife and festive celebrations, was filled with thousands of revelers when the tragedy struck. Witnesses described hearing the roar of an engine moments before the truck tore through the crowd, sending people flying and creating panic. "It was chaos," said a local bar owner who witnessed the attack. "People were screaming, running for their lives. It felt like a war zone." The driver, armed with an assault rifle, stepped out of the vehicle after the crash and began firing indiscriminately. Police officers on duty in the area quickly responded, fatally shooting the suspect before more harm could be done. Authorities later discovered what appeared to be improvised explosive devices inside the truck. Though the devices were rendered safe, their presence escalated fears that this was a premeditated act of terrorism. Casualties and victims. The death toll currently stands at 10, with over 30 people injured, some critical. Victims include both locals and tourists who had gathered in the French Quarter to ring in the new year. Emergency responders worked tirelessly throughout the night, transporting the injured to nearby hospitals. Medical staff described the scene as overwhelming, with a flood of patients arriving in varying states of trauma. One survivor, who suffered a broken arm and minor burns, recounted the harrowing moments after the crash. "I saw people lying on the ground, not moving. It's something I'll never forget," they said, their voice trembling. Official response. The New Orleans Police Department declared a mass casualty event and immediately began coordinating with federal agencies, including the FBI and ATF. Authorities are treating the incident as a potential act of domestic terrorism, though the suspect's identity and motive remain under investigation. Police Chief Michelle Woodford held a press conference early New Year's Day, commending the swift response of officers who neutralized the threat. "Their actions prevented further loss of life," she said. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry and President Joe Biden have been briefed on the situation. Both leaders expressed their condolences to the victims and their families, with President Biden describing the attack as an assault on the spirit of community and celebration. Witness accounts. Eyewitnesses described scenes of absolute horror. A tourist from Texas, who was visiting New Orleans with friends, said they initially thought the noise was part of the festivities. "I heard screaming and saw people running toward me. Then I saw the truck. It was plowing through everything. I've never been so terrified," they recounted. Another witness, a street performer, said they saw the driver get out of the vehicle with a rifle. "He looked determined, like he wanted to cause as much harm as possible. It was the most horrific thing I've ever seen." Community reaction. The city of New Orleans, known for its resilience in the face of adversity, has been left reeling. Makeshift memorials with flowers and candles have sprung up along Bourbon Street as residents and visitors pay tribute to the victims. Local leaders have called for unity and strength during this difficult time. Mayor LaToya Cantrell issued a statement urging citizens to remain vigilant and support one another. "Our city has faced tragedies before, and we will overcome this together," she said. Religious leaders and community organizations have also stepped in to provide support for grieving families and survivors. Counseling services and helplines have been set up to assist those affected by the traumatic event. Heightened security measures. In the wake of the attack, security has been significantly increased across New Orleans, particularly in high-traffic areas like the French Quarter. The incident has also prompted federal agencies to review security protocols for major public events nationwide. The city's annual Sugar Bowl game, set to take place in the coming days, will proceed under heightened security. Authorities are working to reassure the public that all necessary measures are being taken to ensure their safety. A somber start to the new year. For New Orleans, the tragedy marks a heartbreaking start to 2025. The French Quarter, typically alive with music and celebration, now bears the scars of an unthinkable act of violence.